very much. Right.
Oh, I got to do some work.
This gentleman would like you to sign that. Make sure you just want your signature.
It's Colombian.
Anybody have any questions about their coffee? Is everyone getting perfect results right now? I mean, think of this as a support group. One of the things I'll play with, the first things I'll do is play with the grind. I'll go, again, if it's a little bit, if it's not as strong as I remembered it, I'll try grinding a little finer. Even if I tried another coffee and it was perfect in it the day before, I'll try it. And the other option is I could go the other way. If it's a little too strong or a little bit bitter, I'll go a little coarser. You know, go off the playbook a little bit. The goal in grinding is real simple. What you want to do is make a bunch of pieces of the coffee so that it's just like doing a stir fry. I mean, all of us here probably cook a little bit. You make a stir fry, I'm sure you found, or making a soup, you find that the finer you dice the vegetables, the faster they cook. The finer you dice the vegetables in a stir fry, it adds some flavor. And I found with soups especially, man, you really get a rich soup by dicing the vegetables very fine. Same thing with coffee. You get the extraction, you get the surface area of the coffee exposed to hot water, and you can brew faster, and you can brew more thoroughly. Ideally, you'd want it to be about the same size. So to do that, you need a grinder, you need a good grinder. And the best grinders are grinders that use two discs that rub together to grind, rather than a blade that spins around. And I know those are appealing because I think you can get them for $19 on sale somewhere. But those grinders tend to chop the beans in such a way that they're more irregular. And you are still getting the advantage of grinding right before you're brewing. But ideally, you really want to have the pieces all the same size. This grinder is an example. And you can always tell because they have a hopper in them. And what they do is, it goes down there, and they literally are like a sausage grinder. You know, they really end up mashed together, and that's the best grinder. And that is well worth it. I would almost tell someone, and if they're living the bohemian lifestyle and they want to find a way to make really good coffee, but they want to do it on a shoestring, you can use a little Melita cup. You know, she could probably get for a few bucks, a couple of bucks, and you can get a good grinder. I would put my money there first if I were going to do it over again. Of course, I'm spoiled and I want to do it all, so I have a really nice machine as well. I have an electric drip machine. But you can do as good a coffee in this as you can get. As good a coffee in a Melita as you can get. And the grinding is the important thing.
Well, grinding is definitely a key issue. I mean, if you're gonna over-grind, if it's gonna be too fine, you're gonna over-extract, and it's gonna, you know, you're gonna get the bitter aspects of the coffee. And if it's too coarse, you're going to get you're going to under-extract, and you're going to get coffee that tastes more watery than it should. So you're not going to get the full extraction of the best sort of 18–19% of the oils that you want to give you the best. That if you're doing the correct ratio of water to coffee and the right if you have the correct grind, you're going to get about 18 or 19% of the oils, the soluble solids. Too much, and it's going to be bitter. Too little, and it's going to be too weak.
One of the great joys or frustrations of coffeedom is that you can make almost any change and it will result in a flavor change. I can't believe how many texts there are on coffee that don't talk about measurements. And can you imagine getting a recipe book that is telling you how to bake a cake and didn't tell you how many cups of flour to put in? Because, well, I use more or less according to taste. I mean, come on, give me a baseline. Let me start somewhere, and then you can play with it. And the baseline is 2 tablespoons of ground coffee per 6 ounces of water.
I just brought out a couple of different things. You may or may not know there are a few different ways to prepare coffee once it's picked. There's a dry preparation. There's washed. There's semi-washed, and so just to show you what they look like in the bean form. It might be interesting. This is a dry preparation on the left. This is semi-washed. This is a washed coffee. A couple of other things I brought out also, just for this is an aged coffee. That's what it looks like after it's. This is a 6-year-old coffee. And then this is a coffee of a quality that we don't buy.
And you can see the tremendous difference. My favorite example is this one because it shows you the variance, not only size, the variance, and it's amazing that some grading systems within the countries up to maybe even current times are based on size. You know, just imagine going to the video store and saying, I want to rent a 120 unit. No one does that, you know. So it's not like you want to buy a certain size of coffee bean either. You want there is a factor in size and how they'll take the roast, and I'm sure Oren could address that. But there is other defects and things like that. You'll notice in something like this, and this would be considered probably a reasonable grade coffee by some people.
Well, and it's acceptable on one level. I mean, but you can see the defects are like partially dark, partially black beans, or insect-eaten beans, and those all manifest themselves into bad flavors in the cup. And you know, our standard is a premium, or actually it's actually called specialty grade if it's on one level, and the other levels, I mean, we check. So it's really a 0 defect is acceptable per sample, and not 12. And so you know, it's a whole different level of everything on this level of quality, where and I mean, and overall, you know, the difference between something like this and something like you know, in wine, for instance, the difference in cost from this level to this level would be huge, but in coffee, well, from this level it's pretty big, but even so, as a factor of scale, the best coffees are relatively inexpensive. I mean, Jamaican Blue Mountain, which is very expensive, is about just about $1.10 a cup retail if you brew it at home, and the best wine, something. You know,
think about it. You know, people go out and think nothing of spending, you know,
well,
$30 or $40 for a bottle of wine.
Well, even so, a modest wine, $30 is about $6 a cup, right, at home. So $6 a serving for a modest wine, and $1.10 for the most expensive we carry. It's good coffee, and all the other coffees, which are good coffees, are less. So you can, you know, it's a whole different level of.
Yeah, volumetrically, you can afford to be the snobbiest coffee drinker in the world for what you could be a supermarket wine drinker.